it appears that we are live. I'm going to assume we're live. You know how that goes. Oh, yes, we are live. So good morning to everyone. It's 11 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Time. And this is Leverage with Lee and Lisa, Business Spotlight, where we interview a business owner or a business influencer every single week and ask them to share with us some of their success, some of their tips, how it is that they have been successful. So I'm very excited today to have our guest, Olin Unruh, who is the president, CEO of Wetlands Irrigation and Turf LLC, and we will be asking Olin some questions here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce myself and our co-host, Lisa Raggio from California. So I am Lee Gray, Coach Lee Gray with ActionCOACH Business Coaching, and I'm located in Wichita, Kansas. I work with business owners and their teams to help them take control of their business and their lives. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I truly, truly love it. I'm going to be starting my 6th year in coaching. So I really, really enjoy what I know. It goes fast. So I'd like to, thank you. Stop it. So Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, and tell us who you serve in your area with ActionCOACH.
Thank you, Lee. I'm Lisa Raggio with One True North Leadership and Business Coaching Solutions, and I am co-owner of that with my brother. We work out of Valencia. We are proud to be in the ActionCOACH global family. We're in Valencia, and if anybody watched the national news this morning, we are a hop, skip, and a jump from the large fire that's burning in Lake Hughes. But we are the 3rd largest populated area in Los Angeles. And our specific niche is to be working with small to medium-sized business owners. As Lee knows, the ActionCOACH catalog and library, global library, provides us a lot of opportunities to be reaching the pain points of our small to medium-sized business owners. And our particular niche with my brother is that we focus on we've developed something in which we focus on the COVID phases in which business owners are going through. And we also really love to work with business owners on finding their why and living their why and their vision, mission, purpose, and points of culture. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, I'm ready to get started now and to introduce our guest, Olin Unruh. Very excited to have you here today, Olin.
That's good to be here.
Thank you. Well, I do have a little thing I want to read about Olin. At the age of 19, Olin took a big step and bought a business. And Olin's always been interested in business, and he knew from an early age that he would be a business owner. Since then, his business has grown to 10 employees, merged with a lawn and turf company, and this growth continues. I happen to know that because I'm his coach. Today, Olin is president of Wetlands Irrigation and Turf LLC. The core values that drive Olin personally also drive the organization. Wetlands Irrigation and Turf provides a service, but the customer is who they serve. Olin works hard, but he also knows how to have fun too. His passion is hiking the 14ers and mountain biking. He just came back from a 14er trip where I know he hiked 2 14ers. Got 2 of those on your bucket list. He makes several trips to the mountains every year to indulge in this passion. He's born and raised in Kansas and is proud to give back to the community, serving through the business as well as employing as many people as possible. So welcome, Olin. I know you just love having people spill things out about you, don't you?
You know, it always makes me a little self-conscious. So yeah, I guess.
Well, that's okay. You deserve the accolades. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your business? And I know I said that you've been in business since 10 years, but where are you located? Why did you get in business? And tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, well, I'll try to cover those points for you. We're located actually at Galva, Kansas, which is a few miles east of McPherson, Kansas, north of Wichita, about 45 minutes. And I got into business back when my why and things have changed since then a lot. You know, at that point, there really wasn't so much of a why other than that I just wanted to be able to be in control of, you know, kind of how much I wanted to work, and if I wanted to work more, I could. and those kind of things. And so over time, things have grown and changed quite a bit, and it's kind of interesting. I tell people that I've really only been a business owner for about 1.5 or 2 years. The first 8 years, I just worked really hard at my job, and I had an expensive, demanding job. And a couple of years ago, I kind of realized that we were growing, we were getting busier, and I was getting stretched too thin. And I said, well, this isn't the way it should be. And so I started doing some research, and that's kind of where Lee comes in.
You know, I have not heard you say that you really just became a business owner 2 years ago, but you know, how many times, Lisa, and have we heard that people think they're a business owner, but really they just have a job, right? A job. If they don't go to work, they don't get paid, and that is a job. I'm really glad to hear that, and I know that was the shift in you in terms of taking yourself out of that day-to-day act. And I mean, you're still involved in the business to some degree, but definitely,
yeah, absolutely,
better. Definitely not as much, but
I changed jobs. I mean, that's basically what, instead of being the technician, getting everything done, I started to realize that, you know, that wasn't the job of a business owner. So, I mean, I feel like that just kind of shifted, and, you know, I still occasionally get to go out and do some of that, which I enjoy enough that it's kind of a struggle some days not to, and actually come do what I really is probably more important.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, that's a sentiment too that we hear. Well, I love what I do, and yeah, that's great that business owners do love. That was the passion that got you in the business to begin with. But if you want to have that vision to grow the company, you have to have that other job, which I love you called that. So, well, tell us what does your ideal customer look like? I know you offer the irrigation service. You might want to tell people what that is, and then how the turf side that you merged with, what you do in that as well, and what your target market looks like. So that ideal client.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, so what we do is lawn irrigation, which is really the foundation to having a nice lawn, is a good watering practices. If you don't have that, you're in our area anyway, and the kind of the cool season grasses are what people like. And it gets hot and dry in Kansas, and, you know, really stresses those things if it doesn't have the proper watering. So lawn irrigation is kind of where it started, and then we added the turf care kind of as a fit, just because we often got the, you know, question: can you plant my lawn too? Can you fertilize it? Can you, you know, treat it for grubs or for the things that lawns need? So that was a good fit. You know, we had good relationship with a lot of the customers already, so it was pretty easy to, you know, just add this on and say, hey, you know, we are now offering this service, and we got a lot of takers from the get-go. So that worked out pretty well. Our ideal customer really is the homeowner, I would say, that wants that nice lawn, understands and the importance of a good curb appeal and the value that brings to the house, to the neighborhood. And, you know, they don't have the knowledge or don't have the time to, you know, invest in it themselves, and they want a professional service. That would be probably our ideal customer.
Okay, and it's a skill to put a lawn in, and it's a skill to put an irrigation system in, and to keep a lawn alive, especially in Kansas. And I know that there are some different opportunities in California for lawns, but certainly it's a skill to do that. And
yeah, I mean, just knowing, for instance, in Kansas, the weather can shift so dramatically in a matter of days, or for sure weeks, to where being able to cope with that. And we do offer services that, for the irrigation especially, that we do multiple site visits throughout the year to tailor their watering schedule to be efficient, to manage the water efficiently, responsibly, because the water needs change quite a bit in Kansas. From you can have really wet springs, or it can be all over the place. So it's just, there's really no telling, but we do try to adjust for that and apply what we've learned and educate our customers as well.
Oh. Were you going to ask a question, Lisa?
Yeah, I know I'm really interested in finding out how Olin has been impacted by COVID, and how, if he's had to pivot and how he's had to pivot. But something that's really bubbling up to me is when you were reading the bio and when Olin's talking, customer centric is really what I heard, and also being very balanced. So when Lee was reading your bio and talking about, you being an outdoor enthusiast and, those things that you pursue that are outside of your business, I just thought if you could share for a few minutes in regards to those two things. What is your commitment to the customer, and why they're a priority to you, other than the obvious, and then how you've achieved a balance in your lifestyle, especially in a time in which we've been in crisis. I think a lot of us would benefit from hearing from that.
Okay, well, I'll do the best I can. So, I think that if we want to really go deep, providing service is something that kind of drives me. And I love people in the way that I like to connect, and I like to get to know people. I'm not such a big crowds guy. If I'm probably not going to be the loud guy at the party or wherever, but on that one-on-one basis. And so to get to know our customers and to find their pain points and provide a solution to that, and is really kind of at the heart of what I enjoy doing. And this irrigation business is kind of the avenue that I found to fulfill that, I guess. So that's kind of the customer relation part of it. And then moving on to COVID, I wouldn't say that we suffered really, other than, maybe changing a little bit some of the ways that we, interact with the customer on site, being a little more cautious and careful with cleanliness and those kind of things. But, the majority, 99% of our work is outdoors. Really very, very, very little do we go into people's houses. And so in that respect, it really didn't affect us. I think if anything, we maybe were busier because more people were spending time at home, and they were, I think, saving money because they weren't eating out, they weren't going on trips, and they maybe were spending that on, facelifts to their house and to their yard, and improving their living space outdoors because they were spending a lot more time there. And then the balance of all of that, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. It doesn't always feel so balanced. But it's just, we're about a 7-hour drive from the mountains. And so I can do a pretty easy, take Friday off, weekend. We have a lot of family up there, so that helps as well. And it's just, I think one thing is I realize that you need your mind, your body needs that time off, and that way to disconnect from the day-to-day work. And I know it's just been important to me to get some of that, and to where I can be 100% when I'm at work.
Yeah.
So Olin, thank you for that. That was really interesting to me. One of the things that you've done since we've been working together is to add some new people to the team. And it was really important to you to bring people on that were aligned with how you want to grow the business, and that they, in essence, see the customer as you have seen the customer. Would you describe the hiring process just at kind of a high level of what you've done that's really probably not the same as most people have in hiring in your organization?
Yeah, we've started this 4-hour hiring process, and it was introduced to me by Coach Lee here. So it was one that I had a few questions the first time, and I thought, well, I don't know if this is going to work, but we went ahead and used it. But I guess kind of what it allows is for you to really see the character, maybe more of the person, how they interact with other people, and those kind of things. But basically, we we do an application, we put out the job description, and I like to do a job advertisement that's separate from the description, that kind of describes who we're looking for, what kind of person they will be in order to be a fit in our company. And once we get through that, we get the applicants. We set up a time for a group interview, which was new, to me. To most of the people that we bring in, have never been in a group interview. And the nice thing about this group interview is it's effective for your time. You don't have to do 5 different interviews. You can just interview 5 people at once. And basically, we start out with just going through it. About the first half of the interview is really about the company, and we make clear, our history, where we're at now, where we want to go, our vision, and our mission statement, our core values that we want in the business, that we're looking for in them. And then, of course, we talk a little bit about the culture and explain the job details, and compensation packages, and kind of go through at that point. Then we take a break, and we give people the opportunity. We explain that, at this point, you probably have heard enough to know, am I a fit here? Is this a company that I want to work for? Do they align with me? Do I align with them? And if not, it's a good point. It's a good place where, no pressure. They can walk out and leave. They don't have to stay for the second half. But those that stay in the second half, we pivot, and we get to know them. We give them a chance to introduce themselves, talk about their background a little bit, talk about what they heard in the first half that they liked, that resonated with them. And then we just, from there, we do a few kind of job specific questions, competency questions, and that really about wraps it up. And at that point, we're getting a pretty good feel of, how friendly these people are, how they interact with other people. And there are a couple of steps even prior to the interview, where we have them call a number that just has a recording on it that asks them some questions. And that really, to me, is a pretty major part of this process, because it deselects a lot of people. A lot of people will send an application in, but they won't follow through with that phone call, and or they call it and they hang up. They don't leave a message, and it just shows you right there their level of commitment, their willingness, and how able they are to think on their feet, by being able to follow through with that process. So, at the end of this interview, we've got a really good feel of who these people are, and then we can usually come to a decision pretty quickly at that point, of who we want to go with going forward.
Yeah.
What a great job.
It's a game changer in the hiring process, for sure. I remember when I was first learning about this approach, I went, wow. Overall, it's one of those things that when you hear it, you go, why didn't I think about that? But it really works.
Well,
and
it
it's
seems
so
like,
effective and efficient.
Yeah, and I always thought of it backwards before, and I think a lot of people do it backwards. They hire somebody, and then they find out if they work or not, and really, you need to find out, is this the right person for this position, and then hire them, instead of just going, hey, I got a spot, let's bring somebody in and hire them, and let's see if they work.
Mm-hmm. Very true. That was a great description. I appreciate that. And I know I've been involved in some of the hiring with you, and even your employees have said that was cool. That was a cool process, and they knew you were a different kind of company from the get-go because of that as well. So it differentiates you as an employer.
Yeah, I've had nothing but positive feedback from the people that we interview. They're like, it's less intense. It's more, instead of just that one-on-one intensity, it's you kind of have the whole feel of other people there, and you kind of can play off of that, and it's actually makes it to me a little more relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you for that. So along the way, in these 10 years, and you're now 29, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, Olin, that could benefit other entrepreneurs?
Well, probably one of the biggest ones that I'm still learning is, and has just so much to do with the hiring, finding and employing low maintenance employees that you can hand things over to, and they're not going to be calling you constantly, and high maintenance. And I think before I used to think, well, that was part of it, but I've found that that's not really that. It doesn't need to be that way. You can have standards. You can find and train low maintenance employees. And I think if you want to grow a business, you have to have that, because I run into that all the time. I can only answer so many questions in one day and get anything else done. If I want to be productive, I can't be interrupted every several times an hour with questions that maybe they could have figured out themselves. And I know, as Lee's often told me, I have some of that I have allowed or encouraged because I've answered those questions. So you have to kind of learn too, when to say, I think you can figure this out. I think you can have an answer, or provide me with a solution, and I'll, if you want me to second it or say, yeah, that's a good idea, I can do that. But bring me some solutions as well, for sure. So that's been a big one. Probably another lesson is just that as an owner, you have to constantly change who you are. From when you have a small business with a couple of employees, you're one type of person. As you grow and you start adding more, or you start adding the managers, you have to change, and that has to be intentional. You can't just keep going like you're going and think that, well, I'll automatically turn into this, leader, business owner, without being intentional about it, reading or studying, or finding that personal development that you need.
I love that you said that. I made a note of that. Yes, you said change, but it has to be an intentional change. I'm now becoming the CEO of a company that employs 10 people. That's affecting a lot of lives. And that does require a different person. So that's awesome. So the loaded question I have to ask you, of course, is, Olin, how has coaching impacted your business, and what would you tell others about coaching? And then I know you're an avid personal development and a reader. What's a book you recommend for other entrepreneurs to take on to read if they're just getting started in business, or even if just a good book that you would recommend?
Well, I'll start with that last one first.
Okay.
And I would say it's going to depend a lot on where you're at kind of in your business journey. If you're finding that, you're stuck and you're working long days and you can't get it all done, then probably the E-Myth, is a good place to start. That, not that I haven't, at this point, I've maybe changed some ideas about the book, but it's a huge wake up, to somebody out there that owns a business but feels like they're stuck in a job. Probably my favorite right now is The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. Just love the book. I'm on my second time through it, and just really great, simple, insights that every time I hear it, I'm like, well, that's kind of no duh. Like, I would do that without thinking about it. But no, that's right now it'd be my favorite book that I've really enjoyed, and I've definitely taken some, notes out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was more to the question, but that's where I forgot. So coaching.
Whatever. Isn't it? I have to deal with that.
But yeah, so like I said, a couple of years ago, I started kind of backing out of that day to day, and I, was wanting to be more of a business owner, and I realized that I don't know anything about this. I didn't do any college. I don't have, any of that. Not that it would have taught me anything. I don't know. I mean, I know it would have taught me something, but not that it would have given me the experience I needed. But I realized that I didn't know a lot. I needed to find somebody that could kind of guide me to the next level, to the, where I needed to go, and did a little looking and ran across ActionCOACH here, and Lee was very responsive, and that's kind of where it started. And really how it's impacted a lot is just in my understanding of my role in the business, helping us get structure and organization in the business, and just learning a lot of kind of the business practices that are necessary, kind of foundational to owning and growing a business.
Well, thank you. You've been you've been a pleasure to work with and to coach, and you're an avid learner. And when you say you read a book like The Road Less Stupid, you read it and you learn it. And you're always bringing that back to coaching sessions and talking about the things that you learned and whether or not you should apply them. So, hats off to you, Olin. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're about out of time. So I'd like to have you tell people how they can get a hold of you. What if an entrepreneur wants to just visit with you, or if some customer wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to find you? Go ahead and give us that information.
Okay. Well, you can find us online. We have a website. It's www.wetlandsirrigationllc.com. We also are on Facebook, Wetlands Irrigation LLC. And, of course, you can Google us. Google will have us there, or, phone number 620-242-4607. We'll get the office and we'll get you in the system from there.
Perfect. I like that. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up and say we'll be on next week. I'm going to ask Lisa to give us her contact information. So next week we'll have a guest. Lisa will be bringing a guest, and I don't know. Do you have your guest secured for next week, Lisa?
Not secured, but
okay. So we know we'll have someone
yes.
Here, but we are either interviewing a business owner or a business influencer every single week. And if you want to talk to me about how to grow your business and how to take control of your life and your business, you can reach me at 316-440-9559, LEEGRAY at ActionCOACH.com. I'd love to hear from you and have a conversation. How do people reach you, Lisa?
Well, just really quick, I want to say thank you to Olin, because there's been so many great things that you've said on this. And I'm going to actually forward this interview onto a couple people I know that I think what you talked about would be really value added to them as business owners. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be on the interview with you. Yeah. And you remind me of, have you read Start With Why or listened to Simon Sinek in regards to why?
I have not read the book or even listened to him a lot. I mean, of course, I know who he is. Maybe I'm just not to that level yet.
Well, you guys are in alignment. So he talks about something that's very centric to people by not how or what, but why you do what you do. And you gave some really great information in regards to why you do what you do and how you feel about the customer. And people can reach me at Lisa Raggio at ActionCOACH.com, and that's LISARAGGIO at ActionCOACH.com. And our website is OneTrueNorthCoach.com. So look us up, and there's a lot of information on our website, and we have a COVID-19 resource page, which is very beneficial to our business owners to look through and get help.
Thank you, Lisa. So we will see you next week at 11 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Time at this same place on Facebook Live. We'll go ahead and end and say goodbye to our audience, and Olin, stick around for a couple of minutes for a debrief. See you later.
Everybody.